You know what? I almost started rapping, but I couldn't remember the words to Will Smith's Summertime. Another show, because we've got a long summer ahead of us, sun shining bright. Welcome to Cooking in the Raw, Summer Edition. Woo! I'm your host, Mark Shelby, aka Shell, and you know what? I know what I'm about to make next isn't a summertime dish. However, the wine is flowing, I'm feeling good, the weather's nice and warm, my kind of weather. My head says so. Alright, so I'm going to do a wine braised tenderloin or beef bourguignon. Okay, a French dish. So I know it's summertime, it's a kind of a heavy dish, but I'm going to do it anyway because I can now take that dish and transform it into something else. I can stuff meat pies with it. I can stuff puff pastry. I can stuff ravioli with it. You know, so I'm going to make this dish because it's an all-time favorite of mine, and I'm just going to enjoy it. And I have this tenderloin that I want to create so many different things with it. So here we go. First process, getting our pan hot, nice and hot. Got to brown the meat, got to extract flavor. I have just simple ingredients. I have some chopped onion and some crushed garlic. I have a tomato spice mixture that I keep on hand and use, you know, for that deepening flavor of tomato rustic quality to it. So here we go here. That pan should be nice and hot. It's going to be really hot. If you saw the other episode, as soon as I added the oil, we had smoke. So let's cool this down a little bit. Cool, man. Cool. Alright, so let's add the oil here. A little bit of, I like cooking extra virgin olive oil. That's what I do. EVOO. Beautiful, beautiful. Look at that smoke. See, that's hot. I'm not even on the fire. That's electric for you. These things you have to watch out for. Am I going to have to turn on the fan again? We're going to find out in a minute here. So, let's start putting in some meat pieces in here. Because it's hot enough. I'm not even on the fire. Listen to that sizzle. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Now, you don't want to overcrowd your pan here. This is most important. You don't want the pan to cool down. Just enough here. So we get that back to the fire now. And again, as with anything else, when you're browning something, don't touch it. You must move in slow motion and let it do its thing. I have my vessel here. I'm going to transfer the brown meat to it as I put more meat in. So follow me as I'm browning my meat. Don't touch it. Stop it. Alright, so we gotta get a closer look at this. If you can see beyond the steam, I want you to look inside the pan here. This is why you can't touch it. In the cooking world, we call that a fond. F-O-N-D. A fond. It's that brown that's capturing all the flavor here in this pan. That's what we want. That's why you don't touch it. And you got to keep the pan hot, otherwise it's going to start steaming and you lose all that nice flavoring brownness in here. Now since this is a tenderloin, and I'm going to be braising this, it's already tender, I'm just going to get enough here so I can have the brownness. It's nice and brown on the outside, keep medium rare in the center. Add a little bit more oil. Don't forget about it, if you have electric stove, don't let it sit on the stove. That should be process. Add some more meat here. Yeah, don't overcrowd. Just enough to get our brownies going. And there we go. Look at that. That's what I call flavor. Just a little bit more oil. I have a little bit of meat left. Now, you don't want to scorch this. You don't want to burn this. This is most important. That's all beefy goodness right there. Okay? We add in the rest of our meat. Remember, don't touch it. And while that's doing its thing, let's go over here. Now, I can't have this dish without wine. Wine is the most important piece of this dish here. Okay, outside of the good meat, you gotta have good meat. So I'm going to be using Amano. It's an Italian wine, the Grapus Primitivo, which they say it's a grape that's related or the same as American Zinfandel. So Primitivo, we're going Italian here in this braised. So I'm going to open this up. I had my corkscrew out. I forgot that this was a screw cap. Now, this nifty little gadget here is called a Hades corker. You know, and this helps control the pour and also gives a little aeration and catches any sediment in the wine. Stick that inside here. Always integrity test your wine first. Now I have two glasses here because my camera person behind the camera is saying, don't forget about me. Don't forget about me. I'm not going to forget about you. Let me taste it first. Pour a little bit of the wine into the glass here. Now, our vintage on this Amano or Primitivo is 2007. Oh, wow. Sniffer swirl, sniffer swirl. Look over at my pot. I'm not touching it. That's doing fine. Right now, we're focusing on the wine. Oh, that's going to be wonderful in that dish. Nice and dry, soft fruit. Okay, it's good for us to drink. That means it's good for us to cook. Here's some for my camera operator. Some for myself. There you go. Salute. Cheers. Ching! Alright, so now I'm going to get back to cooking here. So watch me over here. So we have a nice little fond here in our pot. Let's turn that back up here. Getting nice and brown. Now, if you noticed earlier, I didn't salt the meat. And the reason why I didn't salt the meat earlier is because I didn't want it to release any juices, which would have caused everything to steam. Alright? It's not about steaming here. It's about frying. So we get this out. When I get to the next step, when I add the meat back, that's when I'm going to salt and adjust my flavorings in the sauce. Have all our meat out. Now, the fun part that I like. Let's get out of a wooden spoon here. Alright. Give us some heat here. Now, dried herbs. I try to use fresh herbs as much as I can, especially during this time of the year. But in the case when you're braising a dish, dried herbs are probably the best way to go because it's going to take time, over the time of cooking, to release those flavors. So I'm going to add in here my onion and garlic. Okay, onion and garlic's added in here. Let's get rid of this. And I'm going to let that saute a bit. Let's get a little bit of oil in here, just a little bit. All right. Now you're wondering, well, you have that brownness in the bottom of your pan. How are you going to get that up? Well, that's where the wine comes in at. What I'm doing right now is I'm adding flavor to it all. So when we start dealing with that wine, it just gives all this flavor to the liquid that the dish is going to be cooking in. So that's that. Now, let's take off my slow pour. It's nice and hot. I am going to now add the wine. Okay. Fire's up. Steaming. Now you scrape up all those brown bits. Can you get a close-up shot in there? Let's see here. Get all those brown bits up. Now I like to do like a two-step process. I am going to use this little bit of the wine to get up the liquid. Okay. And then I'm going to let it reduce. And then I'm going to add my tomato sauce to it at that point to deepen and enrich the flavor. Now oftentimes people, when they're dealing with their fond, they're adding a tomato paste to the fond or tomato sauce to the fond before the liquid. But I'm going a different direction here because I want to build my flavors differently in this case. Okay? I want that tomato flavor to be kind of like in the middle of the dish. Alright, so that's doing its thing. Let's now wipe off my stove here for the splatter. White stoves, gotta love them. Okay. So we'll let that cook down. All the way down. All the way down to it's like a thick syrup. So what I'm doing now is I'm rebuilding the fond. Okay, but this time there's wine added to the mix. Alright? So let that cook down. Now we're going to add some of my paste here. And here we go. That's going to give us another level, another complexity of flavor here. Now you see how that's cooking in? I wish you could smell that. Okay? It's going to get a nice little rusty color. That's going to add to the deepening of the flavor. Woo! I can smell that. That got some kick to it. Man, did I say spicy? Or did somebody say spicy? Well, here we go. So that's doing its thing. Now we're going to add our meat back and all the juice. Okay? Our herb. This is an Italian herb mix here. I'm using Italian wine, so we're not using Italian herb mix here. For extra added flavor. A couple of pinches of that. And then I am going to put in my salt and white pepper mix. Because remember, I didn't add any salt earlier. Now I want to add some salt to the dish. Alright? Give that a stir. And you can see the juices coming out after adding that salt. Alright? Now, kick that fire up. Now for the most important piece here, the wine. This is going to make up our sauce. We're going to braise this. Wow, you can just smell all that saucy wine goodness. So now, we'll let that come up just to the boil. And then, we're going to cover and simmer. And when we come back, let's see how that dish turned out. This is going to be great. But in the meantime, I'm going to drink some wine. One for the dish, one for me. Okay. I know you shouldn't do this, but we're going to sneak up on the pot. Tippy-toe, tippy-toe, tippy-toe. And we're going to take a look. Okay, I was drinking wine. I'm just so excited. So we're going to take a look. Shh. Be very, very quiet. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Ah. Oh, the smells. This is great. Well, let's put this back. And let's just let it keep cooking. I wanted to show you that. So let's quietly sneak away so it doesn't notice. Wow, the moment of truth here. I boiled off some buttered noodles here. Got my parsley chop. There's the wine. I have the last of it in my glass. Again, the primitivo, which was cooked in. Drink what you cook it in. And so now I'm just reducing the wine here to get a nice thick sauce here. This is nice and tender. I'm going to add some parsley here for some of that fresh taste here. Turn off our fire here, it's nice and hot. Now, to plate. Ooh, that's steamy. So wine.